Remember that scene in the movie The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent where Pedro Pascal says that his third favorite film of all time is Paddington 2? Nick Cage was like, bullshit. Yeah, he was denying that, saying that there was no way Paddington 2 is among the greatest films of all time. And then Pedro Pascal shows Nick Cage the whole movie, and then Nick Cage balls his eyes out at the end saying that it's incredible. And Pedro Pascal was like, I fucking told you Paddington 2 was incredible. Yeah, never underestimate the bear. Hey guys, this is Frozen Wish Studios here, and welcome back to another movie review. And today, I am going to be doing a review on Paddington 2. So Paddington 2 is the sequel to the sleeper hit flick Paddington, and it came out in the year 2017. And just like in the first film, I acknowledge it by its US release date, so it's a 2018 movie to me. And it's directed once again by Paul King, and it stars Ben Whishaw, Sally Hawkins, Hugh Bonneville, Hugh Grant, Madeline Harris, Samuel Jocelyn, Julie Walters, Imelda Staunton, Brendan Gleeson, Jim Broadbent, Peter Capaldi, Ben Miller, Jessica Hines, Michael Gambon, Noah Taylor, Tom Conti, etc. And so the film tells the story of Paddington, who has not only been happily settled by the Browns, but also became a local, become famous locally. Has once a birthday present for his Aunt Lucy to learn about what it's like to live in London and everything around it. But in order to get that book, he must do a series of jobs in order to earn money that can help him pay for the book. But on the day when he is ready to get the book, he witnesses someone stealing the book. But as Paddington chases the thief, and the thief suddenly disappears, Paddington is framed for stealing the book. So he gets arrested. But the Browns immediately know that Paddington would never steal a book. And even the store clerk knows that it wasn't his fault because Paddington has been working his ass off to get that book. So the Browns now must investigate like who really stole the book and framed Paddington in order to clear Paddington's name. Meanwhile, Paddington is actually having a decent life in prison, trying to make the prison life better for the prisoners, not knowing how dangerous it is. And he starts a friendship with the other prisoners. So yeah, I know you guys are all excited for me to talk about Paddington 2 because Paddington 2 is often regarded by people to be one of the greatest movies of all time. Now, the first film is already extraordinary in its own right. Yeah, I think it's a film that it sucks that to this day people still don't talk about it because when it comes to Paddington films, all people think about is Paddington 2, Paddington 2, and yeah, this film right here. But I think the first film is such a sleeper hit because without that first Paddington film, we wouldn't have gotten it right here. And yeah, check out my review of the first film to know my thoughts. But I'll just say, I do think it is a sleeper hit. That's the best way to describe that first film. People do sleep on it, but it was still enough of a big hit to warrant a sequel. And not only did the sequel live up to the first film, it surpassed it in every single way possible. Up to the point where it got a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is insane. Like, the first Paddington film has a near perfect score. So the fact that this film, which was, by the way, topping the first film would have been an impossible task. The fact that this film somehow topped the first film is an achievement to behold. And there was one time, I think it was in 2021 or something like that, when this film dethroned Citizen Kane as being the greatest movie ever made. Yeah, the highest rated movie of all time. As Citizen Kane's 100% certified fresh rating dropped to a 99% rating. Yeah, there were, and people were up to debate in asking, is Paddington 2 really better than Citizen Kane? Yeah, there was like a huge argument going on. Some people were rebelling against this movie, saying that it does not deserve the title to be the greatest of all time because, oh, it's just a family film. No, Paddington 2 should not be the greatest movie of all time. But there are others who actually say that this movie is better than Citizen Kane, and it actually deserves it. Yeah, and this movie is so like famous now that even like this movie was even brought up in one movie, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, which I think is also a sleeper hit. I'm probably the only person who actually remembered that film existed. I'm sure no, I have a feeling nobody remembered that film existed. But if you actually remember, if you actually somehow remembered The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, then let me know down below if you actually remember it. Maybe I should rewatch it at some point. Who knows? But yeah, now as for my experience with Paddington 2, sadly I actually did not see this one in theaters. Because yeah, just like with the first film, yeah, this one was like squandered by my local theaters. Only a few theaters were playing this. I think Paddington in Peru is like the only Paddington movie that doesn't. That actually is doing fine in theaters. Like it has like enough theaters for it for some reason. But yeah, just like the first one, yeah, Paddington 2. Yeah, I actually missed out on this one because I didn't really have time to watch this film. I was busy, and there were also a lot of other movies to watch, including the one film that released on the exact same day as Paddington 2, The Greatest Showman. But I will admit though, as much as I really love Paddington 2, I actually think I don't regret sacrificing this movie for The Greatest Showman, because let's be real here, The Greatest Showman, I personally prefer The Greatest Showman over Paddington 2. I think The Greatest Showman is just like probably my favorite biopic next to Oppenheimer. Yeah, it is a film that's just it's a masterpiece, and yeah, it feels like my life has ascended when I watch this movie in theaters. That movie in theaters, like, yeah, that's how much I love the Greatest Showman. Like upon seeing it in theaters, like The Greatest Showman wasn't even on my radar. And when I saw it, I was like, damn. And yeah, but it took me until April 2018 on a flight to finally watch this movie, and yeah, I loved it, and I always knew it was better than the first film ever since then, and yeah, I actually was able to let this movie warrant some rewatches, including today, which I rewatched leading up to Paddington in Peru. Well, technically last night. And after rewatching Paddington 2, for myself, does this movie hold up? Abso-freaking-lutely. Now, yes, it's no longer considered to be one of the greatest films ever made, but it did spawn popularity. Yeah. While calling it one of the greatest movies ever made is a bit of an exaggeration. So, to answer my title question, by the way, no, I don't think it's one of the greatest films ever made. I disagree with that. But it is better than Citizen Kane. I will admit that because, yeah, Citizen Kane, I also feel the same way about Citizen Kane. I mean, coming from someone who thinks that The Godfather is one of the greatest films ever made, I don't think it's the same for... I don't think it's the case for Citizen Kane. But, so yeah, while Paddington 2 is not one of the greatest films ever made, it is a masterful sequel that elevates the franchise to a whole new level. And it actually deserves all the hype it gets. It's actually well deserved. Not only is it better than the first in almost every single aspect, but it is among the greatest live-action family films ever made. I would say that this is my second favorite live-action family film of all time. second only to Martin Scorsese's Hugo. But yeah, this is certainly like right up there. Like I would say it's second, and it is also the best Paddington film. And even if I have yet to see Paddington in Peru, yeah, this is already the greatest Paddington film of all time. I already know Paddington in Peru is not going to top this in any way, shape, or form. Yeah. Now, on paper, the story should not have worked because it's a story that I kind of have pet peeve with nowadays. Yeah, it's a story we've all heard many times before, and I'm kind of sick of it. Sure, yes, the latest film that told that story was in Gromit, The Vengeance Most Foul. It is actually a well executed and well told story, but yeah, Paddington 2 actually tells the story in the best way possible. This film is the best version of this story. Clear the main character's name. Yeah, it's the best of these stories ever told. This is all thanks to the writers and Paul King. Their talents made this movie truly great. No matter how generic the story can be, yeah, it's a perfect example of how a story we've heard many times before can actually be well executed. The best way to describe the story is that it's a mix of the Shawshank Redemption and a detective storyline, making it just brilliant. This kind of story allows the stakes to be raised higher than ever. The prison moments are so wholesome, and this might be the greatest prison movie ever made. Yes, even over the Shawshank Redemption and the Green Mile. Yeah, and the prison scenes bring such a huge charm to it, mainly because of Paddington himself. When Paddington enters the prison, all he sees is just pretty much regular prison life, like your typical prison life by Paddington's. But Paddington isn't aware of that, so he thinks that prison is not torture, is not pain. He even admits when writing his letter to Aunt Lucy that prison is actually not that bad of a place. But he just had to change the prisoner's life, and that's what he did. Especially when he made marmalade sandwiches for everyone. Yeah, that makes me want some marmalade now. I've actually tried marmalade before. It's good, but not as good as a Paddington when he praises marmalade like it's a holy grail or something. But it's still really good. Regardless. And he even mistakenly made the prisoner's outfit pink, and I think it actually suits them very well. Like having pink jail uniforms brings a whole lot of charm to the prison. It makes the prison a lot more colorful. Oh, and also the production design on the prison itself, it is very very effective. But it's the detective moments, the detective side of the story that truly made this movie very impactful. While the audience already knows that Felix Buchanan was the mastermind behind all of this, the film's job was to make us feel engaged with the mystery, rooting for the family to catch him. The question the movie asks is, how are they going to catch Felix Buchanan because they don't know he's behind it? And he's actually really smart. He's very intelligent. Yeah, he was the guy behind the beggar, as he wore a beggar's costume in disguise, and also we got other clues as well, including a nun and another outfit, which I actually forgot the third disguise he had before catching him. But the film succeeds in execution because of the suspense. Sometimes there is a moment in the film where you can tell, you'd think that they actually won't find out it's him, and it literally took Phoenix Buchanan to say something stupid to make them figure out by him saying that the thief's eyes are blue when Phoenix Buchanan's eyes are blue. That is when Mary found out that Phoenix was behind this, but they had to investigate the house for proof, and yeah, that was insane. Yeah, and yeah, Judy Brown is now my favorite Paddington character. I didn't really think about her being my favorite Paddington character when I first saw it, but now the more I think about it, I was like, yeah, Judy Brown might be my favorite. Sure, yes, I stand by not considering her the standout in the first film, despite being my favorite of the despite being my favorite member of the Browns, but now she solidifies herself as my favorite character in these Paddington films. She is such a badass. There's a lot of girl power in her, and I love her passion to become a journalist and have her hobby be like writing newspapers and printing them. And pretty much her journalism skills like really help the film, really help the detective storyline. It actually makes sense in the context of the story, and I think she was just simply put the most engaging character in the whole film. Yeah, her personality is just really fumes in a good way. Paddington is just as much of a lovable bear as we saw in the first, probably even better. Because despite being a prisoner, he somehow still sees the good in everyone, well, except Phoenix. He also likes to stand up for what's right and for whatever Aunt Lucy tells him. Yeah, maybe it can. I'll admit that when I first saw this movie, I did get annoyed with Paddington, like like always saying, "Oh, Aunt Lucy said," "Oh, Aunt Lucy said that," "Oh, Aunt Lucy." But actually, over time, I did get used to it. It makes sense as of why Paddington like loves to say Aunt Lucy's name. Yeah, I actually think that's. He has kind of an autistic trait in him. Like I think he might be autistic. It's not confirmed yet, but I just suspect that Paddington could be in the autism spectrum. Like, if you actually think, if you're an autistic expert and you think that Paddington is in the spectrum, then just let me know. Or maybe there can be a analysis video on that sometimes. Now, as for my thoughts on the villain in the film, Phoenix. Now, this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but I actually think Phoenix is kind of a step down from Millicent. Yeah, I still think Millicent is the best Paddington villain. And it's not going to change because I heard that the villain in Paddington and Peru, yikes. Like nobody has anything positive to say about Paddington and Peru's villain. But in this film, yeah, I mean, yeah, but even though Millicent is the better villain, in my opinion, Phoenix Buchanan is still an awesome villain regardless. Like Hugh Grant gives quite possibly his best performance yet. And no, I'm not exaggerating. I think this is Hugh Grant's best performance in his career yet. Yeah, he had a lot of fun playing this villain role, and Phoenix is a massive standout in this film with his brilliant mechanics and a strong performance from him. And yes, there may not be an insanely dark moment in the film like the Natural History Museum sequence in the first film, but it can still be pretty dark for family films. Like having a long drawn out prison sequence is already like pushing the boundaries for family films, especially making a plot similar to a film like Shawshank Redemption. It's insane. The Paddington Bear CGI is once again as realistic like what it was in the first. And yeah, the VFX really has some creative spirit in it. And you can tell when there is actually a scene involving 2D hand-drawn animation. That was brilliant. Now, performances from the cast, old and new, were all stellar in this one. I already mentioned the Hugh Grant. I also love the Brendan Gleeson as Knuckles. Yeah, apparently one of the Sonic characters is in this film. Like, why can't we have a Sonic Shadow or Tails in this film too? Just kidding, lol. But Brendan Gleeson was great as well. Like, yeah, amazing performance. But the performances from the cast from the first two, including Ben Wishaw's voice performance as Paddington, all like truly great performances. And yeah, oh yeah, also the humor does land as well. I think the humor is on par with the first film. Like, I think that well, one joke that made me laugh the most in this film, the standout joke, was during a the prisoner visits moment where the prisoners get to meet Paddington's family for the first time, and then Mr. Brown like turned off the microphone, or quote unquote turned off the microphone, and he's like, "No, we can't like trust these guys. They're buffoons," and saying a bunch of insults. And then the prisoners were like, "Oh, we can hear you." Yeah, that's the moment made me laugh my ass off. Like, oh my goodness. And one thing this movie did that the first film did not do is make me cry. Yeah, I actually did get teary eyed at the end of the film, especially when we got to see Aunt Lucy actually go to London and visit Paddington. So yeah, that was the better option this whole time, instead of like Paddington just giving a book to Aunt Lucy, like Aunt Lucy seeing London through a book. Yeah, that is a perfect way to end the film right there. So overall, Paddington 2 may not be among the greatest movies ever made, and it's not one of my personal favorites, but this is easily the best Paddington film and the best film that Paul King has ever made. For a film on its respective genre, it's certainly among the best. With that said, guys, I'm going to give Paddington 2, of course, 5 stars out of 5 masterpiece movie. So for my review of Paddington 2, what are your thoughts on the film? Would you agree with me that it's not among the greatest films ever made, but it's still the best Paddington movie ever made? Or are you one of those people who considers Paddington 2 as one of the greatest films ever made? By the way, I apologize for my stuttering whenever I say the title of this film. I don't know why. Or do you consider this movie to be slightly overrated? Well, at least I can definitely say it's not overrated. And I think the hype for this film is real. Comment down below, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and stay tuned for my review on Paddington in Peru. Bye, guys.